The worst has finally happened. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president of Nigeria, the military, and the coup that we all know as being a trademark. Let us watch, and we'll be talking more.
It's not a rumor, but there's a coup. There was a coup plot, and people were rounded up. And the revolution came from Sahara Reporters, the newspaper I founded. And their reaction. It's fake news. They sponsored their trolls. They were attacking everybody who revealed it. But we knew a long time ago that this was the situation. I think they started planning the coup since 2024, and I think it was foiled in 2025.
They started, from the intel that you have, they started the planning from 2024.
Yes. Some of the sources that I spoke to told me that part of the reason the crackdown was very hard on the bad governance was because they knew around that time that some people were planning a coup. And I think some arrests of military officers were made around that period too. So if you notice during end bad governance, their major grasp was that, there was Russian flags on the street and this would promote coup. And it was a time that all these Sahel countries had been taken over by military jackboots. So they started that around 2024, from what I heard. So, but I think maybe they didn't strike then and then they kept monitoring some of them. A lot of them are disgruntled officers in the Nigerian army who felt that things are not going the way they should. But let me make it very clear, I can never support military rule. Again, I've seen the worst military rule in my lifetime. Nobody can come and tell me, fellow Nigeria, we know things are wrong. These military guys that are planning to take over, that are planning coup, will be worse than the civilians we have. What we should do, and I've said this, anybody who loves Nigeria, is for all of us to take on the system at once, have a revolution. You get another government in uniform, all these army generals we're seeing, colonels, and all that, they're the one reason why there's insecurity in the country.
We will not allow coup after coup in West Africa separation. We will take this up seriously with African Union, to the European Union, and Britain and America. Take it up. It's a challenge. Yes, democracy is very tough to manage, but it's the best form of government. And we also ascribe to it. We must bite back. We can't sit like toothless bulldog and FOI.
But maybe finally, before I let you go, because these rumors of alleged or attempted coup is gaining so much grounds. In fact, the opposition, African Democratic Congress, is calling for greater transparency. But it has worked in some African countries. Isn't that so? Burkina Faso and a few others in the continent, Myanmar outside the continent. Can it work in Nigeria? That those who say, look, perhaps we needed to reset this country.
All right. The coup d'etat can work anywhere because the military has the power, they have the capability to overrun any government they want to overrun if they plan it very effectively, which we as citizens, we do not call for. It has worked in the Niger Republic, Burkina Faso, and other Sahel region. And the question we should be asking ourselves, why coup d'etat? Is it that the civilian government or democracy is not working for the country? So for you to start telling us that, okay, some people have been arrested or there are some rumor mills that some officers and men have been arrested, they're in jail because they want to carry out coup. As a criminologist, I'm not concerned about that. What I'm concerned about is the causative factors. Why do they want to carry out this coup if it's true? Then that is where the presidency should start looking at, okay, for these people to have premeditated or to have planned to carry out a coup, what is the reason? Is it that we're not protecting the country very well, we're not doing well for the nation, for the people? Is it that things or the economy is very tough? Then work on those areas that will ensure that our officers and men are well taken care of and the Nigerian people are well taken care of. Put in measures and policies in place. No country strive without policies. Effective policies will drive the economy, will drive the security design, the security architecture. Effective policy and procedures will ensure that things goes well. And when we talk about security management, it has to do with the people, the procedures and policies, and the technology. So the president and the government or national security advisor should assess what went wrong or what led to the, to the plan coup and ensure that they address that area to foster a futuristic coup d'etat. If they don't address that area and they just say life goes on, I tell you for free, 1 or 2 officers tomorrow might emerge and say, hey, we need to emancipate Nigeria from this democratic nonsense.
In a decisive reorganization of the Armed Forces Top Command, President Bola Tinubu appointed Lieutenant General Olufemi Oloyede as the new Chief of Defense Staff, replacing General Christopher Musa.
To articulate valuable and forward-thinking policies.
The President also named Major General Waidi Shaibu as the new Chief of Army Staff, Air Vice Marshal Sunday Anike as Chief of Air Staff, and Rear Admiral Idi Abbas as Chief of Naval Staff. However, in a mark of continuity and confidence, Major General Emmanuel Odiandeye retains his position as the Chief of Defense Intelligence. In a statement issued by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Public Communications, Sunday Dare, the President expressed deep appreciation to the outgoing Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, and other former service chiefs for their patriotic service and dedicated leadership. President Tinubu charged the newly appointed service chiefs to justify the confidence reposed in them by enhancing professionalism, vigilance, and comradeship within the armed forces of Nigeria. All appointments, according to the statement, take immediate effect, with Lieutenant General Olufemi Oloyede now at the helm as Chief of Defense Staff and Major General Odiandeye continuing in intelligence leadership. The nation's defense structure enters a new phase, one the President hopes will bring renewed strength and cohesion to Nigeria's security operations.
Service chiefs, it is a way forward. It is also commendable and remarkable because it will give way for other military officers to be elevated to the next rank or to the next offices. And with the present security situation, Mr. President has acted within the needful time. Looking at what is happening in Nigeria, there are serious security challenges across the six geopolitical zone. If you take Northwest, Northwest has been dealing with the issue of armed banditry, kidnapping for ransom, extortion, imposition of levies, cattle rustling,
Dr. Shinkafi,
farmers clashes.
We'll get to that other development on the program this morning, but the military hierarchy has denied an alleged coup by some officers in the army. Now, could this be the reason for this shakeup?
Yeah, you see, there's a allegation of a coup which have failed woefully. And looking at that, there is a negligence of duty and lack of proper supervision and monitoring. If there is a proper supervision and monitoring, I think the junior officers who were alleged to plan a coup against the democratically elected government, I think does not arouse. So there is a negligence of duty, lack of supervision and lack of monitoring on the part of the first immediate chief of service chiefs.
Welcome back. That was Omoyele Showore. Of course, he is an investigative journalist and he has been up and doing when it comes to politics in Nigeria. Well, let us go into the depth of some of the findings. I know that some people, civilians, will be so happy if the president of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is hoisted out. But majority who are Gen Zs, who might be pushing or clapping or applauding the attempt by the military to unseat the president, which at times they might give him give the president or whoever it is that they are going to throw out an opportunity for an escape. And in the case of Bola Tinubu, maybe he might not be given an opportunity for an escape. He might be unalive. Many people, like I said, will applaud this idea because of the content for APC and the economy and the microeconomics and the effect of it on Nigerians at this time. But what many, like I said, do not know, majority that are Gen Zs or those who were born, let's say they were born late millennium, you know what I mean? They might not kind of understand the manner at which the military operates. If you look at the beginning, the catalyst to the civil war, some think the civil war is just the Igbo and Hausa thing. No, it's far, far deeper than that. For those who do not know, let me just bring you up to speed before we go into how the DHQ operatives foiled the bloody coup, the coup that would have ended the presidency of Bola Ahmed Tinubu or maybe unalived him. Now, civilians had the opportunity to do what they are supposed to do. Of course, the colonial masters never ran Nigeria like a country. They ran it like a business. And it's all about extracting. It's all about what they can get. Of course, they created a system, a structure, or a government, but that kind and type of government is not fit for citizens, not fit for human beings. And when they give an opportunity to the Africans, to who we call Nigerians now, maybe you call them nation, founding fathers, or all of that, they give them an opportunity, both from the southeast of Nigeria, the southwest of Nigeria, and the north of Nigeria. They gave them opportunities, either Fulani, Hausa, whatever you want to call them. They give them an opportunity to do. Maybe they will behave differently. They came in and all that they could think about is how to steal, to kill, and destroy, the same that the colonial masters were more interested in. That's all they're interested in. Of course, there are certain structures and things that were put in place to make their kind of governance work. I'm talking of the colonial masters. And before you know it, the military felt that they were having the shorter end of the stick. They wanted to dig their dirty boots and guns and hands into the economy of the country. They said, no, these people are not disciplined. We are more disciplined. We need to take over. We need to do for ourselves and for the citizens, bloody civilians, they call them. We need to do for them what they need to do, whatever they need to do. So they ended up kicking out the civilians. They kicked them out. They took over. And you know the rest of the story. The point is, both the civilian and the military, they are one and the same. They are thieves, criminals, and corrupt. They are corrupt. And unfortunately, an average Nigerian does not understand any other form of lifestyle than this lifestyle. You might think, let us bring Peter Obi, let us bring that person in. It is still going to be the same thing. Now, insiders have described this attempt to unseat Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the most dangerous coup attempt in recent history in Nigeria. The Defense Headquarters, DHQ, under the leadership of the former Chief of Defense Staff, CDS General Christopher Musa, and its Internal Intelligence Unit, led by the Chief of Defense Intelligence, CDI Major General Emmanuel Ondayande, I don't know if I got that pronounced properly, successfully thwarted a violent plot aimed at toppling the federal government, toppling Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The foiled conspiracy, uncovered several weeks ago by defense intelligence operatives, reportedly involved plans for the coordinated assassination of the senior political of senior political and military figures, including top officials in the presidency, principal officers of the National Assembly, key security chiefs, and the National Security Advisor. They already planned it. They already thought about it. And like Omoyele Sowore said, insecurity in Nigeria is by the doings of the same military personnel. You probably must have heard complaints by military army officers, soldiers on ground in Sambisa Forest. What they said, most of them had the boldness to make videos. This is not a practice in the military. They were so frustrated that they had to make videos calling out the Air Force for lies, calling out their commanders, calling out their generals, calling out, they had to just do what they had to do. Like, no, this is not right. You guys are pushing us forward to lay down our lives, which we have already put there already for it to be taken for the service of the nation, to protect the country, the sovereignty of Nigeria and its borders. We will put down our lives for this. But let us do it in honor, not in lies and manipulation to enrich your pocket and put your kids out there abroad, schooling, buying properties. No, that's not what it should be. How can you lie? In other words, business is what this insecurity is for. It's more of generating of money. That's basically what it is. So if there is no internal tussle, there will be no need for certain amount to be earmarked to the military. So the military kept on and on making sure that criminal activities, wicked, evil, sinister activities continue so they can keep making money. Sowore said this planning didn't start this year, 2025. And it wasn't just about seizing power. It was a blueprint for mass elimination and total paralysis or paralyzing of the Nigerian leadership structure. And people will be unalived. Maybe they might want to unalive some ex-general, maybe like Obasanjo or the rest of them, or maybe they might not. Who knows? The backbone, I guess information will come and trickle down more, and we'll know, because there are certain people who were not happy that Bola Ahmed Tinubu, some ex-military general who felt that Bola Ahmed Tinubu does not deserve. The revelation comes amid ongoing investigation into the arrest of 16 military officers over alleged breaches of service regulation, while both the federal government and the DHQ initially dismissed reports of a coup attempt as false and misleading. Now, to those who are quick to prophesy, some of them didn't see this. They didn't see it. Let us be sincere. So back then, when this information came forth, they said, no, it's a lie. It's not true. Of course, they were working behind the scene, also monitoring. But Ahmed Tinubu knows, he's not stupid. He knows that certain military generals were not happy that he became president. Now, fresh intelligence obtained confirms that a sophisticated and dangerous conspiracy was indeed uncovered. According to high-ranking sources, the plot was detected exclusively through the DHQ's internal counterintelligence apparatus without the involvement of other security agencies. Of course, what else? What do you expect? The defense headquarters, they know themselves. The suspect had allegedly procured vehicles and tactical equipment, some intended for disguise and covert mobility. They had already infiltrated sensitive government zones to facilitate swift access during the planned strike. So they already thought about it, and they got in their men into the right position. They needed, there is this particular part of the military that is in charge of security in the Federal Capital Territory. And also there is a special one in charge of the presidency, and they are in charge of Aso Villa. They have a specific kind of military in that part. So they needed to infiltrate that one too, if they need to unalive like the president and the vice president and whoever. Of course, they need to deal with the Senate. They do not want to have the president, the vice president, or the Senate president alive, because if they do, maybe the vice president will sit down back and say, no, democracy must continue. Maybe the Senate president, that's how the constitution works. Maybe it might be like, yes, they've unalived the president or the vice president, nowhere, I take over. as president of Nigeria, they need to unalive everyone that could contend with them. So they already infiltrated government zones, facilitated swift. They've already disguised tactical weapon because they were going to strike synchronously. Investigators have since expanded the probe to include civilian collaborators, of course, obviously. Forensic experts are tracking financial transactions and communication trails with billions of naira traced to bank accounts allegedly linked to political sponsors believed to be financing the operation. Despite the plot's magnitude and contrary to recent insinuation, sources confirmed that none of the detained officers had ties to the Office of the National Security Advisor until for now. Military insiders described the arrested personnel as largely disgruntled officers, many of whom had failed promotion exams or remained in stagnant postings for extended periods. That frustration was weaponized, according to sources. They were manipulated into believing they were fighting for justice or reform. In truth, they were pawns in dangerous political game. Not at all. They know what they are onto, and they definitely will unalive those politicians that think they can use them in this their stupid, foolish, dangerous political game. Security analysts noted the unusual composition of the conspirators, which reportedly included individuals from both Christian and Muslim background, as well from the northern, southern regions of the country. Some people even dropped this in. They said, oh, if an Igbo man was part of it, they would have said this, that, and that. The thing is, we have less Southeasterners in the military. The irony is striking. One analyst he said this was a reckless and unfathomable alliance that defied Nigeria's usual ethno-religious fault lines, united only by a shared willingness to undermine democracy. In response to the revelations, the defense headquarters had reiterated its unwavering commitment to democratic governance, emphasizing that the armed forces remain loyal to the constitution of the president. Recall that this happened, this information, this rumor as it is, came just few months after the inauguration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu as president of Nigeria. And we all know how this will definitely keep Bola Ahmed Tinubu on his toes, and even now much more. The DHQ's swift and discreet handling of the threat has drawn commendation from security experts who warned that while the immediate danger may have been averted, the underlying grievances fueled the plot, and this must also be addressed to kind of prevent future unrest. And mine is this: it is not over yet. What are your thoughts? Drop your comments.